Hey guys, good morning. Welcome back to our channel, the Eaton Squad. My name is Addie. So in today's video is how to secure an entry exemption document for foreign spouses of Filipino national. Details coming right up. So as promised, I will be uploading the step-by-step guide on how to secure an entry exemption document to foreign spouses of Filipino national whose wife and kids are already in the Philippines and the foreign spouse is traveling alone. We have 2 subscribers in the channel that has actually secured this entry exemption document and kind enough to send me all the list of the requirements they have submitted along with the process on how they did it. So I really want to thank Abdulisa and Muad for sharing this experience, sharing this process to us, and hopefully this will help other foreign nationals who wants to fly to the Philippines to see their spouse and kids. So here we go. So these are the step-by-step guide on how to secure an entry exemption document or EED. This applies for foreign spouse of a Filipino national. So before we proceed, I would like to thank Muad. He's one of our subscribers who's kind enough to share this process and documents that they have sent to the DFA and Philippine Embassy. So these are the requirements for the DFA. This is for the entry exemption document. So what they sent for his EED is the request letter from the foreign spouse. I will show you guys before the end of the video. I will show you how they did their request letter. Of course, you have the marriage certificate. If you guys got married online or got married abroad, I really recommend to apply for the report of marriage so you won't have a problem during the process. Then a copy of bio page of foreign spouse's passport, copy of bio page of Philippine passport of the Filipino wife, then certificate of birth of your child if this is applicable. What they said, if you have a child, you have to submit the same requirements that we mentioned to the DSWD. I will show you that on our process later on. So the same requirements you will send to the DSWD and the same requirements you will send to the Philippine consulate abroad. So please take note of that. But if you don't have any child, it's just you and your husband, you don't need to submit this document to the DSWD anymore, but you can send it directly to the Philippine Embassy. So here are the step-by-step process of what they did when they applied for the entry exemption document. Number 1, the requirements of the DSWD and the Philippine Embassy of your country for EED were the same. I mentioned that earlier. But there are circumstances that DSWD are requiring other documents as support. So please be prepared of that. If they are asking for additional document, then have it handy and send it to them. You need to put all of this in one PDF file. So all the documents, all the requirements that I mentioned, you need to scan it and put it on a PDF file before sending. Send this to the email of the Philippine Embassy where you are in. So if you are living abroad, submit all the documents that we mentioned earlier on slide 2. This one, these documents, submit it to the Philippine Embassy. This is if you don't have kids, but send the same requirements to the SWD if you have kids. So have all that documents in one PDF file. You need to put all of this in one PDF file. Send this to the email of the Philippine Embassy where you are in. Yes, if you are from the US, send it to the Philippine Embassy where your jurisdiction is. The subject should be titled "For Endorsement to the Department of Foreign Affairs in Manila." So make sure you have that on your cover letter when you send all this on the PDF file. Next is you can edit this to send in DSWD email. Address it to the DSWD secretary. So here's the list of DSWD where you can send these requirements. Like I said, only those with children need to submit these documents to the DSWD. If you don't have any kids, just you and your husband, no need to submit this at the DSWD. You can send it directly to the Philippine Embassy. Rolando Salito de Loso Bautista, he's the Secretary of the Social Welfare Development. So that's the DSWD. And you can also address the letter to Theodore Locsin Sr. He's the Secretary of Foreign Affairs. Next step is you can see the name of your ambassador on the Philippine Embassy page you are in. Yes, it's really important that before doing the letter or before submitting the email to the Philippine Embassy, make sure that you know who are you sending it to or who is the ambassador. Especially doing the request letter, make sure that you have the correct name of the ambassador. You can write the letter by hand and scan it to be filed in one PDF form along with other needed documents. Do not forget your signature. So either you can do it computerized or handwritten, but they highly recommend writing it by hand so it's really true and legit. I'm not saying that computerized letter is not true and legit, but they can really see your effort writing this request letter for your husband to be allowed entry into the Philippines and for your husband to be granted with entry exemption document. If you will use a typewritten letter and don't want to scan it anymore, you need to put a signature. You need to put your signature on the white blank paper. Use a very dark ink picture and remove the background, then paste it on your letter. You can have a look for background remover on your browser. It's just easy. So this is if you have it computerized. You will still have to attach your signature in your letter. So there's a lot of tutorial of that if you want to do it, but I would highly recommend the easiest route. The easiest route would be do it by hand, sign it, scan it, and put it on a PDF file. It's a lot easier. Again, all of this should be in one PDF file. So Muad keeps saying to put this all in a PDF file. So make sure you have that, because this is how he did it. This is how he did his entry exemption document. He got approved with the EAD and the 9A visa, and he was able to fly to the Philippines and be with his wife. And he just recently finished his 10 days quarantine and now enjoying the Philippines. After you send everything, you will have your tracking number and you can check it regularly. I will post this link in the description box. If you guys decide to do the EED, you can actually track it and be updated on the progress of your application. DSWD might be denied due to the duplicate request. If that happens, what's left was the EED request by the embassy. What they did, what Muad and his wife did, is they sent a letter to the DSWD because they did not know that they have to. Because, like I said earlier, you only submit those documents to the DSWD if you have children. But Muad and his wife don't have kids yet, so their application to the DSW got denied, but their application to the Philippine Embassy got approved. So this is why he's saying this. The process of applying for EED is too long. You need patience for this. Don't be discouraged and everything will be all right. As far as I know, I talked to them, because there's two of our subscribers who actually managed to secure the entry exemption document plus the 9A visa. The total process time for them is 6 weeks. To those who saw the previous document I made, I just want to clarify that barangay clearance is not a requirement asked by the DSWD or Philippine Embassy. We just put it along with the other files to prove that the spouse or relative was here in the Philippines. Again, no need to get barangay clearance. So, if you don't need, like you said, the barangay clearance is not needed. But if me applying for the EED, I will include it to really prove, because that is what they need. You really need to prove that your wife or your kids, that your wife and your kids are already in the Philippines. So even though it's not needed, I will include it in my file just to make sure you have it, so you can prove that they are in the Philippines. These requirements are for EED only. For those who still need 9A visa, you still need to provide those requirements needed by the Philippine Embassy. So these requirements that I showed you earlier, this is just for entry exemption document. If you don't have the 9A visa yet, then you will have to submit all the requirements for the 9A visa. We have a video for the 9A visa, but I am planning to make the most updated requirements in applying for a 9A visa at the Philippine Consulate abroad. So make sure you have that. For those who doesn't have visa yet, EED will be released along with your 9A visa. So like he mentioned on his process, if you don't have a 9A visa, you can submit it all together, gather all the documents for the EED, and gather all the requirements for the 9A visa and send them all at once. For those who doesn't have visa yet, EED will be released along with your 9A visa. So please take note of that, and I hope this information will really help you guys, especially to those foreign spouses who's traveling alone to the Philippines to see their family and be with their wife and their kids that has been separated because of this pandemic. Now let's go over to the request letter sample. Muad is kind enough, is nice enough to send me the sample of the request letter that he made for the EED. So this is how he did it. You have to, of course, put the header in there, the name of the ambassador of the Philippine consulate where you are applying to. Then subject letter, this is what he was saying, subject letter for endorsement to the Department of Foreign Affairs in Manila. Then, dear Mr. Ambassador, don't put dear Mr. Ambassador, put the name of the current ambassador of the Philippine consulate you are applying for the EED and the 9A visa. So please take note of that. So your name, writing you this letter to humbly request your good office for an endorsement of exemption entry document to enter the Philippines during pandemic. So he said it has been years. He's got a note in there how long you were away from your family. Tell them that, explain your situation, be as dramatic as possible. I like that. Be as dramatic as possible, like make it look like it is an urgent matter that you should be in the Philippines as much as possible. Listen to him, because he got approved with 9A visa and entry exemption document by doing this. So yeah, it just makes sense that you would address the ambassador to allow your husband to travel to the Philippines with the entry exemption document and 9A visa. You really have to tell them that it's really urgent, that it's really important that he's in the Philippines with you. So he also continued, my wife is in distress right now due to her work and me away from her. We are currently having a family crisis that we cannot solve while we are away from each other. If you have a kid, tell them how being away from them affects your relationship with them. So again, if you have kids, make a letter that the kids misses their father so much, the kids are not eating anymore, or the kids are so depressed because their daddy is not around and all that. So this is the sample of the letter that he submitted and stuff. So then he said, I currently do not have 9A visa and I'm planning to apply in the embassy. I am hoping that you could help me with the document for me to be able to enter the Philippines. If you have a valid visa, state it also. And if it is nearly expiry, you may tell it to them also. So make sure that you let them know that if you already have the 9A visa. Also let them know if you don't have the 9A visa yet that you are planning to apply. And you also let them know that if your 9A visa is about to expire. And for the closing, if you have any further information needed from me, please contact me via my email, my contact number. So make sure that you leave all that in there so they can contact you in cases of additional requirements or if there's any problem with your application and stuff. Make sure to put in your contact information in your letter. So this is what Moad created or made his request letter to the Philippine consulate in Jordan. He's from Jordan actually. And this is what he sent me. Before I said that this is a ghost document, it is not a ghost document anymore. This was also sent to me by our other subscriber who managed to secure the entry exemption document of her husband. So this is the entry exemption document. This is how it looks like. So to those who plans on applying for EED, this is how it looks like. Those are the requirements and those are the steps, actual steps that two of our subscribers have to go through in order to secure an entry exemption document. And I hope this will help others who are trying to secure for an entry exemption document and a 9A visa to be allowed entry into the Philippines to be with their wife and kids in the Philippines during the time of the pandemic. And there you go. Those are the requirements and the steps to secure an entry exemption document or EED from the DFA. Submit it to the Philippine Embassy if you guys don't have kids. But if you guys have kids, submit the same copies of the requirements to the DSWD and the Philippine Consulate. If you don't have a 9A visa also, you will have to submit the requirements of the 9A visa together with the requirements of the entry exemption document. And to those who have secured entry exemption document, if I miss something, if I miss a process, if I miss a document, please comment it down below so we can use it as reference to all our subscribers who's been wanting to secure the entry exemption document as well as the 9A visa to be reunited with their family in the Philippines during the time of the pandemic. Again, I would like to thank Moad and Abdulisa for sharing their experience, their process, the documents that they have sent to secure an entry exemption document to the Philippines during the time of the pandemic. This is our quick update. Thank you so much guys for watching. If you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family whom you know that can use this video as reference. If you are new to our channel, welcome. We do travel updates, and if you're not a subscriber yet, please consider subscribing and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you will be notified on updates like this. And to our subscribers and new subscribers, thank you so much for the continued support and trust to our channel, the Eaton Squad. I hope to see you guys on our next travel update. Stay safe, stay healthy, and God bless everyone. Bye.